Hello, and welcome back to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Readthrough podcast. My name is Peter Bond. I've read every book in the main series, and with me today is my friend and closest confidant, Joshua Baker.
That's right, motherfuckers. I have
2 weeks
taken
in
the
a row.
throne.
Undisputed. And our producer, AJ Fileri. How are the levels and the bars?
The levels are looking wonderful, and I'm so tired today, but the bars are also good.
I thought you put like a fucking modulator on. I was so hyped.
No, that's just my voice. I'm slightly
Guys,
hungover,
sorry,
so-
I think something's right outside. One second, let me...
Yeah.
Everything okay?
That's right, baby!
Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh my god.
That's right, baby. Welcome to a special edition of 10 Very Big Books. We're going to Clown Town.
It's Clown
India
Town.
Jones is not on the podcast today. I'm very sad about it. And, I am very sad about it, but she is actually the one who keeps this show on track and keeps it with its very serious tone. So without her, I'm afraid the show's just going to be a little bit more silly, have a little bit more clowning than normal.
Honka honka. That's me honking my big old clown nose. So
Honka honka, that's me honked my big old clown car honking horn.
I don't have a honka joke, so.
Josh, jokes
on.
go in threes.
Sorry.
There's a rule of threes. You needed to...
Tonka.
Oh.
Love me those little trucks.
okay, all right. All right.
Oh. The thing is, they didn't sponsor us, so we're gonna have to cut that.
Okay,
cut that from...
fair.
Unless, if we could get that Tonka truck money, I mean...
Is that even still, are they still around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah, they are, brother.
Yeah, I'm sure you can ride a Tonka truck in Fortnite or something.
I don't know if that's true, but
Did I tell you I played Fortnite recently? It's pretty fun. I like the game. It's fun.
Fucking
it's a fine game. The you can play the whole game without building, and the building is what stresses me out.
The building scene, yeah, that's why I've never played it.
Well, it's funny that I know it's well, we can't let's not. We're not gamers. I've never played a game in my life.
Welcome to 10 Very Good Guns, our Fortnite read-through podcast.
Nice.
Anyone watch the Wheel of Time TV show that came out?
Not yet. I need to.
Yeah, for people in the Discord are loving it. So
On the
if
list.
you're, if you're a big Wheel of Time fan, join the Discord.
Yeah, maybe we'll put some on Patreon. Just saying, who knows? You know,
Ooh.
the wheel weaves as the wheel. I forget.
Anyway,
But we don't talk about the Wheel of Time on this
No.
show. We actually hate Robert Jordan, and there's only one book series I've ever read in my life, and that's the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Stephen Erickson.
Yeah, monthly I go to Robert Jordan's grave site. I spit on it.
jeez Louise. I'm not even willing to take that ball.
Josh.
If you pass me that ball, I'm just gonna hit it right back.
Yeah, that ball dropped dead on the ground.
All right.
But
Fuck.
Anyway. So today on the show, we're talking Reaper's Gale, and we're talking chapters 15 and 16. And I read them a bit ago, but I just kind of refreshed myself on what happened in them, and I'm excited to get into them as we're kind of cruising forward towards the end of this book. So let's get this clown car on the rodeo shodio and honk honk.
Honk, honk. Josh, sorry, can I get a clean honk honk from you?
Honk, honk.
Thank you. That's that expert producing at work.
Thank you.
Chapter 15. Tomad and Urith speak of the Tisti Eater and Rulad. They speak of the state of their people, their conquest, and what has happened to their son. They begin to consider that conspiring with Hanan Mosig may be the only way to save the Tisti Eater, even if it means working against Rulad. The errant mulls over power and watches Rulad speak with Triban Knoll. Rulad becomes enraged when he hears about what has happened to the Eater on Sepik. He demands to speak with his mother and father. Knoll goes to summon him, and Rulad speaks to himself in fury. Alathari comes to escort Tomad and Urith to Rulad. Urath threatens Alathari, demanding they sheath their weapons. Karsa is bored and leaves the compound, easily shrugging off the magical confines of the place. Tarlac Veed remembers an old legend about the tests in the First Empire. It rings in his mind. He then speaks with Ikariam about Ikariam's obsession with time. Perhaps it could help him unlock something. The Lithari Guard watch as Tomad and Urith are made to wait for an audience with their son. In the chamber, Rulad is furious with his father. He accuses him of crimes against their people, and they argue about what happened on Sepik. Tomad speaks of Tribun Knoll and the isolation he is creating around Rulad. Rulad speaks of lies and the conspiring against him in his court, and he sends his parents to spend 2 months in the dungeon. Karsa knocks out Tarlac Veed and confronts Ikariam. They speak about who will kill the Emperor, and Ikariam defers to Karsa, and the barbarian believes him. Soldiers find Karsa, but he returns to the compound by himself. He thinks about speaking to the monks about Ikariam. The Lithari Guard, Cern Kenar, enjoys imprisoning the Sengars. Featherwitch listens to the Sengars speak about Rulad and the Sepik Eater. She is worried about the Eater and Hanig Mozig and goes to speak with the Errant. Using all of his energy, Hanig Mozig sanctifies a room as a temple to Shadow. He calls on Father Shadow, and his power came to him. So Mozig believes Father Shadow still lives. He brings Bruthan Trina here, and through a ritual, sends his spirit to find the spirit of Bryce Bedek. Mozig finds Nissal's confession on Bruthan's body, and wonders what he was going to do with it. Finally, claiming it was necessary to sanctify the room, he plunges a knife into Bruthan's heart. Bug watches Karsa, and Tehol introduces himself to Ikariam. Bug follows Karsa, who goes to speak with Sepik Eater. He speaks of their betrayal by the Eater and how their chains are free now. Bug sends them to a safe haven. Karsa thinks on Ikariam and wonders if he has Toblakai blood in him. Tribun Knoll hears word of foreign ships landing on their shore, burning, and an invasion starting. He hears that the war has only been with the Eater, but he considers this irrelevant, and the Lithari will help them defeat the invaders. Finally, he thinks about the poison he killed the king with, and regrets that Bryce drank it as well.
That made me so fucking mad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoopsie. I feel really bad that Bryce drank it too.
It's the Eric Andre Hannibal meme where he shoots Hannibal 9 times in the chest.
Yeah.
How could Breeze do this?
So, Josh, I'm sure it's been a bit since you read these chapters, but I really enjoyed that it started out with this kind of scene, this kind of domestic scene between Tomad and Urith.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since then we're going to have a bit of like really kind of domestic drama throughout this chapter. So I wonder how you felt coming to the two of them and what you made, because later what Rulad accuses of them, they basically are doing, you know?
Yeah, the two of them suck shit. Unapologetically.
Wow.
Why do you say that?
This whole scene of them sitting at the first off, masterful scene of them just like sitting at a dinner table, tense, quipping at each other, like it was beautiful. Like I could feel the tension in the room, while reading it. I loved it. But while reading it, I just got so mad at the two of them because they're like, we've got to get back to our eater, to their senses. We've been corrupted by these Lithari. Now let us continue to sit in our lovely house that we've been gifted by the Lithari and continue to sup and eat dinner in the weird Lithari tradition. And just like,
sure,
they're just so deep into it, but like it's comfortable. So they're they're fine with that part of it. And it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, you guys. You gotta, if you're trying to break away, you gotta fucking give up all this shit too. And then skipping ahead a little bit to when they're in the court scene, them trying to defend. Go ahead. Sorry,
I don't want to jump there yet.
Okay,
I do think I want to bounce off that meme. It's funny. AJ mentions the Eric Andre meme. I feel like that's like Tomad Sengar and his sons murdering the Eater, and then they're sitting in there like, oh my god, how could this happen to our son?
How could the
Poor
Letheri do
Rulad,
this?
he's gone mad.
I was infuriated by them.
I wasn't as infuriated. AJ, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not as harsh on them. I mean, obviously they made some shitty choices that definitely did lead them here. Like there are choices that they made that have led them here. But
well, the Sepik Eater thing is bad.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Well, and also like putting a warlock in charge of your tribe and then being like, oh no, my son's a possessed king now. Like also pretty bad. But I don't know. This maybe I was just giving them too charitable of a read, but to me it was just like, I miss my son. Like that's what it felt like. They were like, oh man, it stinks that Rulad is like possessed, but also now like being held from us politically. You know? So I guess I was just giving them more of a charitable read than you were.
No, I agree more with AJ. I mean, listen, I feel like I'm not like in there, I'm not backing Urith Sengar or whatever.
Right.
But it's that thing where it's a classic thing like, well, they kind of came to a good realization, but like way, way too late.
Way too late.
And then like instantly kind of bungle the whole thing. But obviously some part of me is like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is you do kind of are now accurately describing some of the scenario, right?
Yeah. Something I don't like is how the conclusion they come to is like, oh, we have to go find Hanan Mozag to save the day. It's like, come on. How do you think we got here?
Of all
and
the
like
people.
maybe they're right, but fuck, that's annoying.
So then we go and we see the errant, and he is doing a classic thing. And I gotta tell you, I was really thinking, what do you think's up with the errant? Let's crack that nut today on the show. Why do we spend so much time just watching him watch people, you know?
It's what he do.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think we've cracked it.
Yeah. What else does he do in this series so far?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like he barely does a lot of stuff. Primarily, a lot of his function is him viewing power. And I feel like there's some sort of statement trying to be made, because he's always making statements about viewing power. But like mostly what he does is watch other people, and we're reading about him watching other people. That's primarily what he does in the books, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's because he gave up power, you know, but he's still like drawn to it and its influence, even though he gave up, 99% of his.
Well, I think it's like he surrounds himself with the people who like he thinks have actual power, you know? Like sure, he's a god that can, do whatever gods do. But the people who really hold the power are the one that's, sits on the throne. But then the people who actually hold the power are the person who stand beside the person who sits on the throne. And he is just another person standing at the side of the throne and just observing, because I think that's how he's survived for this long. It sounds like he gave up his power. He gave up his worshipers, all this stuff just to survive,
Do you feel like he's put in a position of like wisdom or authority?
Literally, like his
Do you mean like
character,
maybe not
or
authority.
Do you mean we're supposed to see him as a figure of wisdom, or
they see him as a figure? Yeah.
No, do you think the reader, do you think he's supposed to represent a type of there's some wisdom in like stepping back from power, not engaging with it, and being able to recognize these cycles that kind of come and go through different people trying to wield power?
I would if he wasn't currently scrambling to regain that power. If we're supposed to be seeing that, if that's what his purpose is, it is definitely like lessened by the fact that he is now like, no, I need it back.
Yeah. I think it's pretty interesting that of the we see a few societies in this book with the Sheikh and the All, we're getting the POV of the new generation coming in and being like, we have to change these old ways, blah, 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 blah. And then we, with Lether, get this POV of this question mark year-old god who's like, this is how it has always been, and this is how it will always be. Like we get the opposite view from the All and the Sheikh, like generationally, which is an interesting I guess, side by side to have in this book.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason I ask, because I feel like, as you're kind of getting at, Josh, and how you kind of describe him, AJ, is that I feel like despite the errant trying, sometimes being positioned as offering this wisdom or something, he very much like is not resigned and is still like, I feel like he's trying to claim a type of wisdom, but is still totally consumed by the loss of the thing, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he would do a TED talk about the importance of stepping back. 100%, even though we see what he's doing right now.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we then we kind of get into this throne room scene, and I kind of cut you off a bit earlier. We can loop outside for a bit, but first Rulad talks to Trib and Noel a bit, and we kind of had the other half of this conversation where I don't know how you felt during this scene, AJ. I was like, oh, Rulad, you're 100% right. I mean, I'm not pro Trib and Noel, but like, I don't know, they are plotting against you in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think? Let's talk about this throne room scene, and let's get into it. I mean,
it was
sends
rough.
his parents to the dungeon for 2 months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was sad. I don't know if sad is the right word, but it definitely is like, ooh, bummer. He's pushing people away who like kind of now have his best interest at heart, and kind of is just like doing exactly what Trib and Noel wants him to do, which is kind of upsetting.
Do you think they have his best interest at heart?
No, but I think it's. I think they have more.
They think they do.
They think they do, which to me feels like they wouldn't. I don't know. The way that they would go about doing the stuff that Trib and Noel is doing would be kinder to my sweet Rulad, I think, because that's essentially, I think, what they want is to just have this like, our son is king, but really, we are in charge because we are the, patriarch and matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
Which I just think would be a sweeter setup for Rulad than having this man whisper behind his back, but also somehow still change his mind. That's the part that I'm like, I don't know. I guess when Tomad is like, look, we've been trying to speak to you, but fucking Trib and Noel won't let us. And he's like, no, Trib and Noel would never. It just feels like totally unfounded. And like, come on.
Yeah.
It's just really upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do understand. I feel like a pang of sympathy for the parents in this scene, because it's like, they fucked up. The Sepik thing is horrendous. Absolutely unacceptable. But like, it does feel bad that like, this whole problem could have been solved the moment they got back if Trib and Noel wasn't actively blocking and it's like,
right.
It's a little out of your thing, but like also maybe you should have taken action months ago, or however long it's been since you got back.
Yeah.
And I will say, when they ask him, like, so, like, Tomad, why did you do this thing? His explanation sucks.
Oh, it's terrible.
You know what I mean?
They've got impure blood.
It's not like he
I don't
really
know
even offers... Yeah, he's like, well, they weren't really either.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, what are we doing? Then he send their parents to the dungeon for 2 months,
Sometimes you got to do it.
I would never, That's something I'll go to the grave. I never sent my parents to the dungeon,
Nice. That's good.
Gotta be a tough choice. I feel bad for Roulette, having to make that.
I don't know if it's a super tough choice.
I feel like he was so close to turning on Trib and Noel in the scene before, like in the errant scene where we're watching.
Well, I agree. In the previous scene, there's like a doubt that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. We're finally like, he's gonna start digging himself out of this hole a little bit, and then immediately it's just like, nope. It's
yeah,
very
well, I
weird,
agree. The sadness in this scene is that he is like completely subsumed by like the machinations of the Lothari court,
Yeah.
So, Josh, Tarlak Veed is walking around the city, thinks about this old legend about this boy. He kind of got rescued, and then there was the dog thing. And then he talks to Akarium about time, and he's like, maybe you should look into more time. And they're like talking about time.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's up with all that? Did that like land on you at all?
While reading it, the main thought I had was Steve better fucking give us more info on Akarium and his time ship before this book series. We only got 3 books left, all right?
Yeah.
And it feels very within the realm of possibility that I get to the end and they're in, like, all we ever learn is that the time shit is Akarium.
Right.
and it's because he liked time. Like, there better be something else.
Dude just likes time.
Yeah.
It was a classic question where it was just like, well, one of the parts of this chapter was just people having dense, impenetrable conversations.
Yep.
And I'm sitting here like, how do I turn this into a conversation topic?
Yeah.
Not easy.
You know. AJ, did you make any connection between the story to the kind of the folk tale that Tarlik Veed remembers to our present reading in the present timeline?
No. Should I have like of people we know and events we've seen? Like,
I guess I more meant thematically.
Thematically, okay. Well, that's what I wasn't sure because he's speaking about the world. I
have no idea, but some part of me is like, there's probably a thematic connection.
There's gotta be,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's a group of people coming in to inadvertently slay the, I don't know, docile people. I don't know. Just because their ruler told them to do it and then they feel bad about it. Yeah, there's got to be something there, right? Like,
well, and essentially, like, they're the more advanced people in some sense, so they're gonna like kill the whatever.
Right,
and,
they came and just
whatever.
Yeah, crushed them
Almost just because they could,
Mm-hmm. In a way, yeah. Well, I mean, the first time they go to the thing, they talk about like, oh, they seem so scary, we killed them, and then the next time they find them, they're like, oh, they don't actually have any weapons, but we also killed them. Like, I guess we have to keep killing. They said they were going to keep waiting for them to fight back, and they never did. It's just wild. I don't know. And then I don't know. I was more caught up with the end of the legend where this fucking shadow god shows up and is like, I'm taking this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that felt real important, huh?
It feels pretty important.
And then there's all the time talk. I recently was reading about ancient clocks and the ways we've kept time across in ancient history.
Yeah.
And just like the development of clocks. And it was really interesting. And my whole thought was like, I bet Steve knows about ancient clocks.
Oh,
I was like, I'm sure. I was like, that sounds totally like Steve shit in my book.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Karsa ends up kind of tracking down, and he has this like kind of, I would say, sexually charged moment with Akarium, if you will. AJ, do you think they're going to kiss?
I'm sorry. No, but also, I'm sorry. We skipped like the Samar Karsa conversation mostly.
I did kind of elide it. Elide it? I totally fucked that up. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, but Samar talks to Karsa about like killing Benedis. It's like, why'd you do that? He's like, well, he was shooting me with magic, and Samar's argument was like, yeah, it's because you're scary. I would have tried to shoot you with magic as well.
Her argument was, you killed everyone else on his ship already and then broke open his door. So
right, but I don't remember. Josh, do you remember the exact thing? Like, how did he end up on the Eater ship and stuff?
He it was after he was a prisoner. Oh gosh, what was it? Because he ended up in that weird realm.
Right.
With that guy who's one of the greatest characters ever, who I've forgotten about. God, but how did they end up there?
You got it.
He's the brother of the guy from the first book. I can't remember his name for the.
Fucking.
Nah, I don't.
Oh my god.
He's a Nom.
Oh,
Ralik Nom and Torvald.
Torvald Nom.
There it is. How did they end up in that realm, Pete? That is gonna annoy me now. Yeah.
You'll recall they're on the boat across the seas, and like Karsa's all chained up because they like chain him up real good because they're worried about the stuff.
Right.
And then my memory is, I'm not 100% to be honest, there's maybe a magic storm.
I was gonna say magic storm. Okay, and they end up in that.
I think there's a magic storm. There's some sort of lightning that happens that's key in early on in that Karsa prologue, so to speak.
Got it. So he just
honestly, how they end up in the nascent is, I'm not 100. Like, I've kind of forgot.
Yeah, and then he just murders everyone on that boat.
Yeah, and then he does just show up and just start murdering. But
it was self-defense though.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, they were attacking it.
And then Karsa has this like choice bit of dialogue where he's like, "Well, I'm basically filling my love void with murder." It's like, "Hey, buddy, don't do that." Like, there are other ways.
Don't kink shame.
It was just like, this is a bad justification, bud. You have to see that.
Well, it's okay. I'm murdered. I'm horny. So it's morality good.
It's just like one of those.
What a defense.
What a defense. Yeah. Well, it's like one of those things like with Samar and Karsa have had these conversations a couple times where Karsa's like, here's my view. And Samar's like, I don't totally agree with that. But then you can kind of see both sides. But this one is just like, I don't have a boner, so I stab. It's like, okay, like what? Come on, man. Anyway. Yes, now we can move on to Karsa and Ikariam. I do not think they're going to kiss. That's for sure.
But if they did. Legendary.
Imagine if they just met. Really got nervous because we have a hefty chunk of this book left.
You got nervous they were going to kiss?
The tension. No, we have a hefty chunk of this book left, and I was nervous that like we were about to spend 500 pages of Carson and Carium like burning Leather to the ground as a part of their
would have loved it
as a part of their fight. 500 pages though, Josh. That seems like a lot. That seems excessive.
Brother.
But they just talked, and it was fine, and it was weird.
Josh, what'd you make of them having a little moment?
I assumed they weren't gonna fight, so it kind of I gotta tell you, Carium annoys me with his new little know-it-all sort of thing.
He's got a little attitude.
He's got a little sass.
He's got a little chip on his shoulder.
He's hit eon old puberty. You know.
Yeah. So and he's like, oh, by all means, you go first. I thought Carson was going to be offended, but I guess I don't know. They've got some wild connection. So I like that Carson was just like, this dude fucking gets it. Thank you. I will leave now.
It's like when someone comes into I worked retail and I've worked in several coffee shops, but it's like when somebody comes in mad and they're like, my order's wrong, and you're like, oh, sorry, I'll remake it for you, and then they totally disarms them and they don't know what to do. It's like a Carson was like, I will go first, and a Karen was like, yeah, okay. Carson's like, oh, all right, thanks. And then they just part ways. It's very funny.
So then we go to the dungeons. The Sengars are kind of locked up, and the Lothari are all smug about it. And then nearby, we listen to their conversation through the ears of Featherwitch, and they talk about what happened to their son. They're like, maybe that septic thing was bad. And then they also start maybe speaking about handing Mosik, and then Featherwitch is like, oh shit, we can't. She's very worried about the female eater allying. So she goes off to speak to the errant. Josh, would you spend as long in the dungeons as she has?
Featherwitch? I don't. Yeah. She doesn't really have.
She's really down there.
She doesn't have a great choice, you know. I think if quarantine really taught me how little I like other people, and so there are days when I get done teaching where I have thought like, a nice cold little cell that and no one around for a long while. That sounds pretty sick. My
whole thing could become bargaining with an kind of neutral evil god.
Listen, man, that's cottagecore, baby. People love that shit.
That's cottagecore, baby.
Is that what cottagecore is? I think I don't know. I think some millennials would take up issue with that.
I mean, this is more.
No, I actually think I listen. I've never seen or read anything about cottagecore, and I have to assume it's like what Featherwitch is into. I have to assume.
Yeah.
I think if Featherwitch had her own house, then yes, it would be very cottagecore.
Oh yeah. She would need to like she would need to get really into like essential oils or something probably.
And she's huge and she's huge into Taylor Swift. She was a huge folklore head.
I mean, we already know she's big into tarot, and that's like step one.
That's half. You're half the way there, baby.
Yeah.
Now she just needs a good orb to ponder, and she'll be set.
Nice.
That's funny.
It's really capturing the zeitgeist, but when people listen to this in 3 weeks and no one remembers what the orb is.
We are pinpointing exactly when we are recording this episode.
Yep.
It's the tail end of the orb pondering meme.
I don't even know the meme you're talking about, to be honest.
You've not been pondering your orb, Pete?
I had some friends that didn't know about it. We played a little one-shot tabletop RPG last weekend, and I brought an orb of pondering because I thought it was funny.
That's pretty good.
And then thank you. And then afterwards, someone was like, "Oh my gosh, we like willed this meme into existence." And I was like, "No, what? I got this from the meme. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about that meme from like 3 years ago where like there was the Saudi Arabia orb that like Trump and some world leaders were holding and looking weird.
No, this is all about this old ass painting of a wizard in an orb, man. It's pretty fucking
He's just
sick.
like sitting back. He's just sitting back, and there's just an orb sitting in front of him.
I looked it up now. I guess I don't get it. Is this good radio? Us looking at memes?
I think it's pretty great. I've tried to explain orb to a lot of people, and no one has gotten it yet.
No one gets the orb.
No one gets the orb.
That's how I feel about Josh. That's how I feel about Nathan for you. So
yeah, that's how AJ feels about Chris. He's always going on about it. No one ever really.
Do not do that to me. I'm gonna bleep
AJ,
that
I get it. You love like the Hodel gang or something.
I know.
It's like God.
I've got a monkey JPEG that they randomized a face for. It cost me all my money. But I have the
That's
receipt.
right,
I have the receipt that says it's mine. So fuck you.
That's right, everybody. Support AJ's Twitch stream, or they're gonna get more into NFTs.
Only you can prevent this.
God. So we, when Tomad and Urith get locked up, we hop back and forth between this POV of Siren Kanar, just this absolute shitbag of a Lethari guard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just sitting around being a trash.
Totally sucks. But the one thing, the one part of his POV is he thinks when Tomad and Urith are being like indignant toward Trip and Noel, he calls it blind bigotry. He's like, oh, they're just being racist. And it's just like, I don't know if that's what's happening there, bud. Like, I think you're just really, like, you're really kind of reaching. Like, you're not really paying attention to what's happening here at all, are you? It's just, I just thought that was wild.
So nearby, also in the basement, Hanig Bosik creates a temple to Shadow. He brings in Bruth and Trana. He sends him on a spirit thing. He kills Bruth and Trana. There's this scroll from this also. It's a whole bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah.
AJ, what did you make of this whole scene? And why was it really sad when Bruth and Trana was murdered?
I thought we were just going to hand wave the whole scene. I thought you were like, this all happens, and then we move to here. I was like, no.
I would have been livid. No. Bruth and Trana's my fucking boy.
Yeah, so I couldn't tell you why I was sad, but man, I was. But man,
he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He seemed. Yeah, I think that might be it. He's just like a dude who is like mostly done what what he needed to. I mean, he did do that like horrific. He kind of assaulted Featherwitch in a pretty brutal way. But he's really kind of just a dude. So it made me sad that he kind of got a little bit betrayed and he's going to get stuck in the spirit realm now. He's probably going to meet Hedge or something, right?
Oh, it'd be pretty good.
Stands in contrast to like all those patriot-esque people who like are all such supreme trash bags that it's just like
yeah, I think
he shows up and you're like, oh, he's like, listen,
better.
He's like,
yeah, I liked him so much.
This guy seems good.
Yeah, wild that Hannah Mosag was just like Shadow, and it was like yeah. It's just like fully unfettered access to the power of Shadow. Mm-hmm. Wild shit. And I can't believe that wasn't like an entire chapter. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't spend a lot of time explaining what happens with magic and stuff. So I guess I get that. But it was just like, he asked for Shadow and then it's just like, and then Shadow happened. It's like, oh, okay. Great. Cool.
But when Shadow happened, is that Shadow Throne or is it Father Shadow?
Yeah,
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I guess thinking about it, if it's Shadow Throne, then it's like definitely part of a scheme, right? Like there's
100%.
20 more layers that were.
Well, it would make to me it would make more sense because Father Shadow's been dead forever and has never answered to anyone. So like It's like they happened one time, or Shadow Throne's got his grubby little fingers in every pot he can, and he's coming here now.
Yeah, it seems too close to Crippled God for Shadow Throne. Feels like he's getting himself a little too close to danger.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I think you might be right. And I think, yeah. Oh, when Bruth and Trana goes into the spirit realm, he takes the finger with him somehow.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am excited to see my boy Breeze.
I hope we see him. I really do hope we see him. I don't know, though. I feel like it could be one of those things where we don't.
Yeah, true. You never know.
Yeah.
So you're starting to think we might see Bryce.
I would love that.
He's going
to look for him. Yeah.
I mean, we do see Hulse recently.
Fuck, dude. The scene with Samar envisioning Hull strangling Udnas, and then it happens in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Not Samar, Saren.
Yeah.
Saren, sorry.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I was just kind of making a joke anyway. Yeah, Josh, what did you make of this whole scene? And what do you think's going on with this confession of Nissal? Kind of this thing that's like floating around now,
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen Bruthen like since it happened, so I'm a little bummed he got so brought into the fold by Hannah Mosag, but I feel like he had the confession just because he liked Nissal and kind of wanted to sort of remember it, or he really should have burned it.
Sure.
Is really what should have happened so that there was like no chance of her name being tarnished, but who knows now what Hannah Mosag's going to do with it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We will.
So, one of the last few scenes, we see Tehol introducing himself to Akarium. Meanwhile, Bug goes and speaks with the Sepik Eater and like promises them some safe. He like kind of offers them a different offer after Karsa gives them a lecture about like their strength and being free from chains.
Yeah.
So AJ, who do you think had the right approach, Karsa's lecture or Bug's offer?
Calling it an offer is, I think, inaccurate, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna help, and then he just goes and they disappear. Like, it's not really like an offer implies a choice. I think like a buy one get one free offer isn't like, I'm gonna make you buy one so you get one free. You know what I mean?
Oh, we shop differently. A buy one get one offer implies I am going to buy it.
But even so, there's a difference between an implication and somebody snapping their fingers and making it happen.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think they both had points. You know, I think a revolution on their part maybe could have done something, but I think they probably would have all just been killed. So I think it was safer for them for Bug to just poof them somewhere else. I thought something really interesting in this part was that Bug talks about feeling his worshippers wanting him to remain indifferent, like the sea. Just very interesting, because we've heard, this is the first time we've kind of got any indication that Bug is like feeling any of this stuff. We've gotten people talking about, priests of Mail and, whatever, but we've never, Bug has never been like, oh, that I feel my worshippers. So that's still kind of got me freaked out. And I feel like in the end, Bug is going to be the big villain, and I don't like it. So, yeah.
Do you think Karsa's too obsessed with this chains thing? He talks about it a lot.
He's made it his personality.
He really has. He became Chain Boy a long time ago. So,
hey, you've got chains. Hey, you don't got chains. Hey, you're free from. Lead me. Follow me. I'm gonna free you from the chains.
Yeah.
He's like a person who gets really into Crocs.
Oh God, I hate Croc people.
What the fuck?
They've always got those
right
fucking.
Here. What the fuck are we doing? Fuck you, AJ.
But
okay.
I would say you have
Pete,
a pair
really
of
into
Crocs, Pete. I wouldn't call you a person who is into Crocs.
Yeah,
I'm in the Crockpot, baby. You can't get me out of this, okay?
In the Crockpot. Someone slow cook this motherfucker.
All right, setting aside this knife in my back from my producer, AJ.
What are those little things called, though, that you put in a Pete?
Gibbets.
Like wood gibbets.
The Croc Charms, if you will. They just released some D&D Croc Charms,
Oh, my God.
Anywho's, so last things last.
Sorry. No. We can't move on yet. We find out that Icarium is half Jaghut, half Toblakai? ?
Yeah, that's it. That's
which seems like
finally learned.
Horrifying combination.
Well, yeah, we now know why he's the fucking mythical beast he is.
Yeah. Also, the image of Karsa being like taller than Icarium, very funny.
Yeah.
I just never pictured it like that.
Yeah, I always did.
Okay. Jeez.
Okay.
Well, we haven't read the books, Pete.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure we said that. I wrote, "Who's his mom?" with a bunch of question marks in my notes.
Your mom.
Heyo.
Clown Town, baby, clowned ya.
Honka.
Josh, the last part here, we have a POV from everyone's favorite character, Tribunal, and we do get this comment about the poison, and he kind of reaffirmed that the Lethari will be fighting the Malazans, who we know to be the Malazans. What'd you make of this little scene?
Fuck Tribunal, and it really throws the ending scene of Midnight Tides into a whole new light, because we fully are led to believe that they chose to all take that poison. You know what I mean? Like that was it was really and like there are like lines that imply that he did that purposefully, so it really throws it into a new light now, because I was so conflicted in Midnight Tides, being like, why did Asgara kill himself? He seemed so confident in Breeze, and it's such a wild choice to then kill yourself. And now to learn that, no, Tribunal straight up gave the Empire to the Eater. Like, absolute insanity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was his play, in a way.
Yeah, it was his play, and it worked.
It worked. Super worked.
Yeah, upsetting. I do think if Breeze was still alive, I don't think he would be around.
No,
maybe.
He would not.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Breeze would do anything, actually. I think it would just be like, well, this stinks, but here I am, Sword Boy, who doesn't stab stuff.
Yeah. That's my
Perfect.
thought.
All right, let's call it a day here and move on to chapter 16. But before we do, we want to thank people who have sponsored us on Patreon.
This week, we'd love to thank our new Patreon subscribers: Xander, Victor, He Who Must Not Be Named, and Daithi.
It's a bold choice, naming yourself He Who Must Not Be Named. as your name. You know?
Yeah, and then their email is then just a Malazan character. So
Okay,
this person, I wasn't gonna say, I'm not gonna fucking dox this person.
We just fucking doxed
Their
them.
email
Yeah.
is
No, but they've got a Malazan character as an email, so they're hiding something. All right, and we see.
Well,
you.
Josh, that is dangerous. There's only 3 or 4 Malazan characters, so it
You're
could
right.
be.
I'll give you a
pretty easy
hint.
to
I'll
figure
give you
that
a
one
hint.
out.
This one died.
All right, so that narrows it down
Yeah, just
a little.
Just a
Thank
bit.
you all so much for supporting. We really appreciate it. Makes the show easier to make and more sustainable. So thank you so very much for your contribution. Let's move on to the next chapter.
Chapter 16. Brol Hanadar is healed. They hear Red Mask has split his army, and the enemy is surrounding them. He thinks they should retreat to Drene, but doubts the Atrapride will. Brol's small group joins the large army, marching towards battle. Atrapride Bivat is watching Red Mask's army, feeling confident and believing Red Mask is making a mistake. The last tribal elder who knew of Red Mask's past is found strangled in his tent. Red Mask wants Tak out of the danger, and Tak wonders what Red Mask is planning and how they'll respond to sorcery. Orban Truthfinder speaks with the Factor about the slaughter and the loss of weapons. They speak of Silchus Ruin and tracking him. The Factor considers the politics of the Empire and wants to stop Fierce Engar. He sends Orban and others to attack the Andi settlements in the mountains. Venet Sathad asks about this plan and ends up returning to Drene to question the Factor. Orban's soldiers have slaughtered the Andi, hiding away. He feels sullied. They speak of the altar sanctified to true darkness, the White Crow, and whether or not they truly killed all the Andi. They want to keep this doubt from the Factor. Udanas is annoying Seren. She conjures images of Hull Bedek and Troll Sengar. Meanwhile, Clip has been stopped, frozen for a while. Silchus Ruin says it is because the Andi have died. Udanas says they know they would die. Clip is provoked to anger. He opens a path and they enter. The Sheikh are expanding over Second Main Fort. A pair of Paris ships save them. Banishar thinks about the Malazan Empire and its recent troubles, Lassian's betrayal, and the loss of the Old Guard. He also thinks about Drek and feeling the worm's presence in him. Tellerist and Curdle appear and talk about a woman who walked here long ago with huge fists. They're close to where Edgewalker wants them to be. Crump digs holes, Shard worries about Sin, and thinks about who else is afraid of his sister. Namander worries about Fade. She transparently schemes to kill Sandalith Drukkorlat. He thinks his father would simply kill Fade, and wishes he had the power and wholeness of Animander Rake. He feels incomplete, and he hears a prophecy. The All have encircled Lothari and wait for it to turn to night. The soldiers are anxious. Tak rides with Masark and attacks the camp. Lothari sorcery starts to slaughter them, but Tak makes a crazy shot and kills the mage. He stops the slaughter and rejoins the All. Brol Hanadar speaks with the Atrapride about the battle. A Krishnan was killed by the Kachain Chamal. 2 mages were killed by Tak's arrows. And despite many All being killed, both leaders are troubled. So let's get into it. So,
Oh, fuck. I wanted to bring up in the last chapter, the epigraph said Midnight Tides and Reaper's Gale in it.
Did it really? Did I fucking miss that?
Yeah, dude.
I don't remember that from
Holy
my
shit.
reading.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you can look forward to me and Josh talking about it on our epigraph episode, right?
Yeah.
Fucking got him.
So yeah, let's get into it. So we start, and we're out in the Aldan, and we start when we're talking about the Lethari point of view, so to speak, because it's Mr. Hanadar and Mr. Achaprede. And I don't. What do you guys like being out here? Do you like seeing from their point of view, or do you wish you were just only from the all point of view?
I always like a dual point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this.
I feel like it's
you love this.
I love their scenes.
Okay, tell me about what you love about it.
Well, because I don't want them to win in the slightest, right? I want the all to win, but I find Brol Hendar kind of a moderately likable character.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's pretty likable.
Yeah, and so it's tough because, like, you know, I want him to, in terms of the greater story arc, I want him to die. But I love reading his POVs. I find that juxtaposition for me, like, really interesting. So, and, you know, I really enjoy seeing, like, this once unstoppable army, you know, deal with the ideal of being vulnerable for the first time in ages. And it's just, I just think it's so cool to see them trying to, like, rethink all of their their strategies for so long have been, like, mass up, but actually just destroy them with mages, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I also find it funny whenever we read from a Lethari point of view. God, I love all of and there's the Green Grasshopper Brigade, and over there are the Merchant's Sons.
Yeah,
and it's
there's
like
a whole section I just glazed over. It's like, the Josh is going to love this part.
whenever they say that shit, I'm like, but here's the thing. None of, like, what have you been tested against? Every one of your military conquests has been uncivilized, you know, barbaric tribes that you mostly murder to death with magic. So, like, do they just look the coolest? Do they have the best cool armor, you know, coordination?
Yeah.
I just love it. I think it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that point of view, Josh.
Maybe this is what the Terralac Veed legend is drawing a parallel to.
Well, I mean, I do think it's definitely talking about empires. Like, it's another example of empire interacting with like that type of people, you know. Anywho, so then we slip over to the other side, and AJ, what do you think of this tribal elder being strangled? Seems normal? Seems sketchy?
Well, seems pretty sketchy, but I mean, I'm not surprised by it. You know, like,
okay.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't like Red Mask, it was like one of the kids that he's indoctrinated to be like, here are the ways, and if, you know, I don't know. I don't think it's super hard to brainwash a kid. Not that I've ever tried it. I don't even know why I would.
I've done it. It's pretty quick.
So whether it was on purpose or not, or whoever did it, you know, I think it was only a matter of time before this fool ended up dead anyway. Sounded like he was pretty old.
Yeah.
But rough stuff. I don't really have many feelings about it. It's a bummer that somebody got strangled, but also it's the way the cookie crumbles, you know.
Wow. It's a dog-eat-dog world, I guess.
I mean, kinda, right? It's war, baby.
Do you guys remember the TV game show Dog Eat Dog?
Yes.
Vaguely?
Weird fucking show.
Weird fucking show. Just had to shout it out. It popped into my mind. Shout out to, I guess, the GSN from my childhood. Okay, here we go. We're now talking about, I would say, a pair of scenes that I found pretty sad when Orban Truthfinder slaughters all these Andy.
Oh my god, yeah.
Pretty dark.
I felt bad for Clip, and that's tough for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, Clip would have murdered all of them, or at least a
100%.
good lot of them.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. I will say, maybe in the future, if you're going to be an underground society that knows that, like, they are not wanted, maybe train more than one warrior. Just maybe.
Maybe stock up.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe, just in case.
Look,
you know.
You can have a mortal sword and a mortal dagger and a mortal butter knife. You know, just a couple other ones that are decent enough.
Decent enough. Yeah, it's sad. Real sad shit.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean,
You seem really affected by this, Pete.
I don't know. It's just like the Andy have been through a lot, and then it's kind of a massacre, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
AJ, how are you feeling about Udonis?
How am I feeling about Udonis?
Udonis, if you will.
As the kids say.
I don't know. He's fine. Oh, he talks about this fucking the birds that eat the other birds and then take residence in the nest to eat more of the birds. What was he making a comparison to though?
Well, there's the nest thing, and then
I don't know. I mean, I feel fine about Udonis. I don't really feel any different about him here than I did previously. It's just the kind of the same shit, except now Clip is really sad. Like we're all just kind of hanging out, talking until Udonis or Fear says something dumb and someone gets mad. But also this time, oops, there's a vision of a man who showed up and strangled Udonis. So that's new information. I don't know. I think this scene more gave me a more generous view on Clip, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, agreed.
just because
I mean, because he's
him being moved.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has felt an emotion. I think we have seen him go through something. I mean, it's rough, it sucks, but we've seen him like go through something and like be affected by it, and then push on to do the thing that he is meant to do or whatever. So I don't know. It felt like a growth moment for Clip, both in the story and in my heart. Also, those fucking rings. I think I called that they weren't going to be a weapon, that they were going to be some sort of utility thing, and they turn into a portal. So I just want to say that I called that, and it's fucking sick. But also, the fact that it only worked because all that blood was spilled at the sanctified shadow altar because they were all fucking murdered is extremely sad.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely fucking sad.
I think Udonis's take to me of just like, well, they were kind of dead in their own way, weren't they? It's just like pretty.
It didn't feel
whatever, Josh,
Yeah.
what did you make of what's going on with Saren? She talks to Makra, and now there's kind of this scene.
I don't know. I'm something. Well, and she's had a vague connection to shit since we first met her Midnight Tides. Remember, she could like interact with that big rock and like hear the Andy spirits in there, So she's always been really, more attuned to weird magic shit than other people. So at this point, it could be anything. Like, I guess it's Makra. She has learned to use it, but like, I don't know what other power would give her the ability to imagine shit and that shit really happens,
Yeah.
Which seems, by the way, like an absurdly powerful ability. So,
Well, but it's also
keep what, AJ?
I was just gonna say, did it actually happen, or was it just a large enough illusion that everybody around saw it happen?
I think he was really getting choked.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, it was a strong enough illusion that like Udonis felt like he was being choked, and everybody else saw him get lifted off the ground. But it doesn't necessarily mean it actually happened. It was just like a large enough illusion.
I'm gonna say this again, AJ. You're saying that it was just an illusion that Udonis was lifted off the ground.
Yes.
That sounds like it is physically happening.
Right, because we are seeing it through someone's eye that it is physically happening.
All right, this feels like a tomato. If he died from it, was it an illusion or did it happen? Like the result,
Right. Well,
the end result's the same. Yeah.
Sure. I guess illusion is the wrong word. I don't know what the correct word is, because it's fake mind magic.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
You can't believe anything the mainstream media tells you nowadays.
Exactly.
Okay. I
just
saw him
saying,
get choked.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, anyway. So Banashar, how do you guys imagine him? Do you imagine him? I always kind of imagine him as like a kind of a pot belly friar tuck looking guy.
Yeah, I always initially imagine him really like large, just like in stature, like imposing, but I don't think that's correct.
No, zero part of me imagines him as an imposing figure.
Yeah, just the name Banashar feels like it belongs to a big dude,
Interesting.
Like Banashar the Breaker, or like Banashar the Brawler or something, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, when I think about Banashar, I associate him with this character who I don't consider a brawler at all. So
yeah, but just think about the name.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To me, he looks like a banker to me.
A banker. Interesting.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So Josh, he's thinking about, we're going to talk about Tellerist and Curdle in a sec, but he's thinking about the Malazan Empire and thinks maybe things aren't as good as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about some of the troubles he's recounting? Do you kind of agree with what he said? What do you think?
Nothing's ever as good as you remember it being, so I think he's just an idiot, and he's reminiscing about when things were simpler, when he was more dumb, or things were slightly better up for him. It was still shitty for other people at that time. He just didn't experience that shittiness then.
Preach.
Rep, Josh.
I'm here for it.
But I agree. Listen, I agree. I do think there's like a lot of characters in this series who are very rosy about like the start of the Malazan Empire.
Yeah.
And they're like, that was really great. All of those guys were great guys. Things are so bad nowadays, you know. It's like, you know, nowadays the Empire is less good because Lassine's in charge.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how a lot of people talk about it, you know.
Exactly.
What do you think of this Tellerist and Curdle appearance?
I missed them. Love those dragons. Can't wait till
tiny.
Can't wait till they find some fucking dragon bones and become, you know, full size dragons again. It'll be pretty great.
Now, AJ, they mention Edgewalker.
Who we saw in the last book for a second.
I guess you did meet him in
several books ago. Shadow Throne spoke with him in the realm of Shadow.
Josh, I think that was last book.
What the?
Shadow Throne and Coltane are in the realm of Shadow. It's right before Coltane finds the dragon bones.
Not Coltane. Whatever his fucking name.
Cotillion.
Right before Cotillion finds the dragon bones.
God, was that last
they
book?
That was the last book, pal.
Fuck!
That was like 1,600 pages ago, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, though, I think he is introduced for the first time in Bone Hunters, right?
I think so.
Yeah, we've never
And
seen
then
him until then.
he's got a cool sword. He does a cool thing, and then we never see him again.
Yeah,
we see him like the very beginning of the book.
And Shadow Throne has no idea what he is, which is kind of scary.
Right.
Cool.
Okay.
AJ, any hint on who this woman who was maybe here? They're like, she walked here long time ago with fists. I dropped some particles there. But they're describing a mysterious she. I didn't know if you had a big theory going.
Well, it's not Apsalar.
It's not Apsalar.
And then Banishar says, not Apsalar. Gods, did I just say that? It's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
The one who walked here long ago. Yeah, I don't know. Truly. Got no big skulls to push her fist through for a long time, right? I mean, it could be, I don't know, fucking, what's that sister who just got freed? The spooky looking sister.
You're talking about
Suckalonkadu? Suckalonkadu? Or the other one? Yeah.
That name sounds dirty when you say it.
Suckalonkadu?
Yeah.
What
exactly. Exactly.
Let's put an NC-17 rating on this podcast, baby.
You know it.
Clown Town, baby.
I don't know. I felt the same way when anybody brings up, like, vaguely, like, this old person did something. I'm like, ooh, I'm sure that would be cool if I knew who it was.
Yeah, yes.
Like, I truly just have no inkling at all.
Cool. There's a little bit more talk about Sin. We kind of talked about her recently. I don't know if we have much to add on her.
No.
But Josh, I'd love to know if you think Nimander should just kill Fade, how you feel about Nimander, because he's feeling like he's not his dad, and that maybe it just killed this woman, he would like be like his dad, and that would be great.
I did not think I could give so little of a shit about a character in these books, but Nimander fucking came in and he did it.
Fuck.
AJ, do you care about Nimander?
I care more about Nimander's, like, not Nimander specifically, but the fact that, like, Nimander exists and also there are several other siblings, apparently. Like, that strikes me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really
So that strikes you in what way?
Of like, oh, there's more Animander Rake blood walking around, I suppose. Or I guess more Lady Envy blood. Both of which equally scary.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to keep a track on that, Josh, about whether your interest remains at 0.
I'm sure it won't. I'm sure he'll... I mean, look, if we're getting POVs now, it's because he'll do something.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see now, won't we?
Yeah. I do like that he hears Clip's rings. That's what I assume it is. He hears the clinking of the rings.
Yeah, he hears those. Yeah, well, he's an Andy, so he's kind of connected to that.
Yeah. And then it was, I was close to being interested in him because he's like, ooh, I hear the rings. And then he like starts getting drawn into it. And then he's like, nah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well, almost interesting. You are almost interesting, bud.
I gotta say, it's very funny because this show is so dedicated kind of getting to the end of the series in a way, you know?
Right.
It's kind of insane you guys have read these books, you know?
Yeah.
Just kind of crazy, you know? Honestly, to me, it's kind of crazy anyone has read these books. So whenever I talk to someone about it, I'm like, what's going on, you know?
I remember when these books were, I'm reading a big fantasy series, so I spend a lot of time on fantasy forums. And I was like, man, well, this is a totally different life you're living, bud.
I remember him saying that and being like, I'll never fucking do that.
Well, what it is, the reason I bring this up is because I was like, man, I would love to share my opinion. I guess I can't. And then I was like, oh, wait, I guess I can when we finish read some more books. But I guess I could tell you guys what I think about a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's tough because I'm always like holding it back, but it's like, I know I'll be able to tell you. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like once we
not
get
today, but
once we get to the end, you're gonna have like, you should start making a list of things that you wanted to, like, here's when I wanted to let you know how I felt about this stuff.
Well, and it's tough. It's just, there's no way to retroactively go back with all that stuff. But it will be interesting to one day be able to be like, oh, hey, here's what
right.
Like, we could talk about all the books, you know? Anyway, so, the last part of the chapter, Josh, we kind of see the battle that was teased at the start of the chapter. What did you make of this battle between the All forces and the Lithari forces?
I'm really shocked that Red Mask went through with it. I mean, it's such a, like, everyone could see it was such a bad plan, but
Such a bad plan.
and like, if not for Talk, like, killing 2 mages would have been I mean, it was already pretty terrible. Like, a whole portion of them got wiped out. So I don't know. Red Mask seemed very unassailable prior to this battle, and I'm curious to see like where we go from here, like how he reacts and responds to like such a fuck. I mean, for all we know, he's gonna be like, no, it was important we lost those people. It's all part of the great plan I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your read on Red Mask now, Josh? I'd love to know. You were so hot on him at the beginning.
Well, I don't. I mean, he's definitely, you know, a human. He has erred in a major way. So, sorry, he doesn't have the numbers to just kind of fuck up, you know. So I'm curious what all this will do for them. We'll see.
Yeah.
And AJ, how are you feeling about Red Mask?
Yeah, I kind of I'm feeling the same way. He's I don't know, not getting too big for his britches, but he's just like, every way that I think about saying it isn't really how I want to say it. I was going to say he's getting too impatient with it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's kind of what it felt like.
Right, but to say like, oh, he just needs to chill and let Empire do what it's going to do for a little bit so he can hang out, and like, that feels ill-advised as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's like, he's just kind of going for it, and it doesn't really seem like there's a reason. Like, that whole fight seemed so dumb. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't feel like anything good came out of it, except we got to see Talk fucking be just so cool.
Yeah.
But for the All as a people, I don't think it really did anything for their cause.
Nope. Fully with you, AJ.
No. Talk did make a crazy shot.
Made a crazy shot, fucking riding that. I love how we get Talk's POV. You know, he's doing the whole thing with the horse. He shoots the arrow, blah blah blah. And then the next section, Brol Handar's like, yeah, it was crazy. He like had the horse over the thing, and he turned around and shot like upside down. It was like wild. It's so cool. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Love him.
Brol's becoming a Talk fanboy. So I think maybe that'll kind of bring us to the end of that chapter and kind of got us through that for today. I wish India was on the show. I wish I knew what she thought about some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to get a temperature in the group chat.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully she'll listen to this episode. India, if you listen to this episode, hi.
There's no way she is going to listen.
I still laugh about you guys betting that I wouldn't. That makes me so happy.
That's how confident I was that you wouldn't.
Yep.
I knew you wouldn't. Well, before we move on, of course, we have to get a little prediction about something that's going to happen in the last parts of these books. Josh, what do you think something that might happen in
the last
going
part,
forward in these books?
500 pages left.
The last, in the next, Josh, in the last 500 pages, what's one thing that might happen?
One thing that might happen. I think that, what are their fucking names? Tomad and Urith, I guess, are going to probably talk with Han and Mozag, and I think offer to be in an alliance, and he's gonna be like, you're in no fucking place to offer anything. I will allow you to be, you know, my subjects, idiots. I would think we're gonna have some kind of conversation like that. Or he might just murder them. I could easily see that happening. I could see that happening too, yeah. I do not think this series ends with any Sengars left besides Sphere and Troll.
Oh,
and
even you think they're gonna survive?
Even that's generous.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
AJ, hot prediction out of you?
I don't really have any like hot controversial takes.
Always the populist. AJ just playing to the crowds. Always choosing big common opinion.
I purposely try to have like kind of out of pocket predictions just because, you know, then if it does happen, like I fucking called it, you know? But I truly have no, I mean, I know like there's a couple things that we are being led to believe are going to happen, right? Like the Karsa Rulad confrontation, you know, the Blue Rose Mountain crew gets to where they're going, which I don't, do we know where they're going?
They don't even know where they're going, man.
Okay. Yeah. They're just following Siltra's Ruin and Clip is there as well. You know, I don't have any like specific idea of what's going to happen. So I'm just going to say Karsa and Rulad are going to fight and it's going to be bad. Thank you.
I guess we're going to see. All right, everybody. Well, I hope everyone's having a great December. I hope everyone can enjoy the holidays.
Wait, no, sorry. Wait, no. Okay, here it is. So I think the Malazans and the Lethari are going to start like confronting each other. There's going to be a confrontation, and then all of a sudden the Sheikh are going to show up and just annihilate. I think the Sheikh are going to show up and fucking destroy.
The Sheikh are going to ally with the Malazans. What are you talking about?
But that's what I mean. Sorry,
they got picked up by the parish. It's gonna be great.
That's what I mean.
They got picked up by the parish.
The ones that are on the shore or whatever are gonna like start fighting, and it's gonna be like, oh, maybe Lethari's gonna win, and then the 14th that is gonna show up with the Sheikh and like beat ass. That's what I think. Thank you.
They're gonna slap those cheeks.
Slap those cheeks. I really love somebody in the Discord because we made that the after credits blooper last episode. So if you didn't listen to that, make sure you listen to that. But somebody was like, "Thank you for the bloopers. It was weird, but I liked it." It's really funny.
I only said because I went back to listen to the last episode a bit because I was writing the scripts and I was like, "This is insane." We recorded this episode, right? And then what it was is we didn't record it. I just read the chapters 3.5 weeks ago.
Sure.
And I was remembering reading it. And I was just like, oh, okay, I see. We didn't talk about this. It just, you know. And I looked up the orb meme. The orb meme's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did.
So, with that being said, we're all going to go off to ponder our orbs.
Yes.
I hope everyone enjoys their holiday season. Stay safe with the coronavirus that I guess will never leave our planet and will continue to haunt our lives. So 2021, that was another one, baby. Although we got another episode before.
That's true. It's true.
This year,
let's make this. Come on, guys. Let's look on the bright side. Let's make this a December to remember sales event as every fucking.
Okay.
All right.
Why don't you come on down to the local Honda dealership? We're gonna
come on down
December
to Josh's Tonka Trucks for the December to remember sales event.
Wow.
That's right. All right. That's about it for Clown Town today. I gotta say, it was not as much clowning as I thought there could be.
There could have been more. For sure.
It's
almost
do better
as
next
if
time.
India is not the person who makes the show more serious. It's almost like that.
Almost.
Cool. Well, let us know what you think of the show. We're 10 Very Big Books at Gmail and Twitter. Let me know what you think the Aaron's a metaphor for. I would love your thoughts. And cool.
Chilly.
Goodbye.
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, watching the Game Awards. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to give your thoughts or feelings about this or any of our episodes, you can always email us at 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, tweet us at 10verybigbooks, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. That link will also be in the show notes. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to financially support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. We will read your name in the middle of the episode for all
new coming patrons. That link is also in the show notes. And as always, thank you very much to Dan Geiserick for making our spectacular cover art. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_Dan_G for some very timely memes about the Flyers. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode, including the remixed intro and outro track, is by the one, the only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music, including a single of the remixed show theme on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 3 weeks on December 31st with chapters 18 and 19. I'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
This show's such nerd shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I can't even.
There's no hiding it. It is nerd shit.
There's no hiding it. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. It's totally my shit. It's just like,
It's something.
sometimes you're reading the scripts and just all the words, and you're just like, man, we're really in it, aren't we? You know? Like, I don't even know how I could describe what's going on without starting, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.